Hey, welcome back, everybody. This is Hospitality 2108. This is Dr. Mosley. We are going to be going over Chapter 9 today. We're going to be talking all about the front office. So buckle in. All right. Even though the front office is sometimes referred to as the front desk, the front office controls much more than the activities occurring at the organization's registration desk. The front office is the department within the hotel responsible for the management of guest reservations, service, and payment, as well as guest-related data collection and security. In most cases, the front office manager will report directly to the general manager or a hotel's room manager. A typical organizational chart for a 350-room full-service hotel would be where the front office manager in the front office section is at top. Below them would be reservations, guest services, and night audit. And below that would be the desk staff, concierge, and the bell or van driver staff. Those reporting to the front office manager would be responsible for establishing and daily monitoring of room rates and reservations, providing for guest services, including service related to guest registration, which would be the desk staff, guest information, the concierge, and guest assistants, which would be the bell staff. Now, the concierge staff provides guests with detailed information regarding local dining, attraction options, as well as assisting with related guest needs and requests. The bell staff are attendants responsible for guest services, including luggage handling, valet parking, airport transportation, and related guest services such as that. Some functions of the front office include the PMS system, right, which is the property management system, revenue and reservation management, management of the guest services, accounting for guests, and data management. With the property management system, it is a computerized system that's used for managing room rates and revenue, maintaining guest histories, accounting tasks, other guest service functions. The property management system has a hardware and a software component, and care for the hardware should include keeping the hardware clean and free of dust, obviously, right? Examining and replacing the cables and all that stuff, protecting your power sources using surge protectors, backup power supplies, inspecting and testing those systems. Last thing you want to do is have your system go down. The software, you're gonna need probably outside tech support. If you're part of a chain, they're usually gonna offer that type of stuff to quickly resolve the hardware and software related problems. The front office manager should provide the GM with evidence that the hotel uses all the appropriate features, installation and appropriate vendor recommendation software updates have been completed, and that maintenance is done on a regular forecast. So we've taken care of our property management system. Now, with the revenue and reservation management, the front office staff should seek to optimize RevPAR by increasing occupancy percentage and or the ADR. Now, what is RevPAR? I know I've done it every single episode, but it's the revenue per available room. And the formula here again is the occupancy percentage times the ADR equals the RevPAR. Now, there's a few methods to improving it. You can do some forecasting, which is estimating your guest demand for rooms, or practicing yield management efficiently, which we just recently covered. When you're forecasting guest demand for rooms, what you're looking for is like getting a sellout, right? Is defined as a situation where all rooms that are available to be sold are sold, right? A hotel area or entire city may be, if demand is strong enough, and they sell out in a city, let's say Jacksonville's hosting the Super Bowl, right? That whole area is going to sell out. More than likely, Brunswick will sell out at that point. A period of time in which management attempts to maximize their ADR because there's such a high demand. Knowing the demand for rooms is key. When demand for rooms is high, the hotel must drive to increase the average daily rate and influence occupancy by offering lower special rates when the demand for rooms is lower, right? We do this with forecasting accurately. Forecasting demands effectively using accurate records, historical records. So last year, shouldn't really go with years, should we? If last year there was a hurricane in the area and everything closed down for a week or two, we're not going to really be able to look at those historical records for this year during a week when there is no hurricane forecasted. You need to know about special events or circumstances. So the Shrimp and Grits Festival, right? Historically, this is what happens during it, right? Monitoring and adjusting your room rates to reflect the realities of actual room demand is key. And the front office manager must monitor and adjust room rates to reflect that, right? Not merely in response to periods of exceptionally high demand. So doing that, we're going to look at the forecast percentage formula, right? Let's say we have 100% of our rooms available to sell minus our availability forecast equals the occupancy forecast. So in other words, we think we're going to have 30% left. We're going to feel like we're going to be occupied by 70%. By practicing yield management, it's a set of techniques and procedures that are used to manipulate occupancy, the average daily rate, and both to optimize the revenue or the yield achieved by the hotel. And all right, so that's all great, right? We've covered practicing revenue management. That, you know, when you open and closing discounted rates, it's to establish minimum room rates across the types, that type of stuff. But now we have to manage our guest services, right? The front office is responsible for a lot of different guest services. That could be the airport transportation, luggage handling, reservations, that's concierge, right? Parking, cars, directions. The staff at the front desk should know about as much as you can know about the local area. Sometimes they deliver newspapers to the guest room. They manage the safety deposit boxes if they're behind the desk and not in the guest rooms. Manage wake-up calls, handling service and billing related concerns, and all that stuff. They manage their data, maintaining an accurate list of who's in the room, verifying that the room rates charged are accurate. Also, recording the payments and confirming checkout dates. So some of these tasks, which include all this, and verifying, it's all to make sure that the guest doesn't have any surprises, that you know who you have in your hotel, who should be there, who shouldn't be there, and being able to accurately know about how many people are going to leave, how many people are going to stay, deal with staffing issues and the like. So in the system, you're going to be dealing with a lot of screens that are containing data that's related directly to the guest. Now, data fields are places where information is entered on a reservation, right? And that could be things such as the date of the guest's last stay, all guest names, addresses, telephone numbers, previous payment information, what room rate they paid before, the type of rooms that they had before. All that stuff usually you can find within your PMS system. You can keep notes about what their preferences are. You'll also be able to see previous folios and be able to examine like previous room charges and things of that nature. All right, so we need to manage the reservations. So the proper maintenance of key reservation information is critical due to the erroneous amount of stored information supplied by the guest when they make reservations. And you're just gonna have to be able to weed out some of the stuff that may have been wrong. So if a reservation is made, you cannot necessarily assume that everything on the reservation is accurate. Maybe the company secretary made the reservation for them, or one of their family members, and the guest may want to have their own information in which the person didn't have, whether it be their loyalty number or address, etc. So make sure that you verify when they come on in. So there's certain reservation types that we're going to have to manage by, and it's important to distinct transient sales versus group sales. So the individual room reservations or transient sales are defined as rooms and services sold primarily through the efforts of the hotel's front office and its staff. Reservations may be guaranteed by a credit card or advance deposit, or non-guaranteed reservation requests without providing payment. Now, typically non-guaranteed reservations must be guaranteed within a specific time period, like 24 hours prior to arriving, or the room will be released and sold to another guest. If you have a special event week coming up, it is quite typical to have that demand, that guaranteed payment much earlier, like 2 weeks, sometimes a month ahead of time. So you'll have to play around and figure out what works best for your situation. Group reservations, again, that's where a block of guest rooms reserved exclusively for use by a group. When group reservations are made, contract terms, including cutoff dates, are established. Now, cutoff dates identify the dates when the group rooms are to be released from the block and made available for sale to any traveling individual or group. This is important to do so that way you're not holding on to a lot of rooms at a discounted rate up until the end. You're making it available. Very common for most weddings or conferences and all that such, where the members of those groups, they know they have a cutoff date, and if they miss it, they end up having to pay a higher rate. Typically, the group reservations are made by the individual reserving the guest room or the group coordinator supplying the hotel with a group of rooming list. In other words, a list of people arriving. So we talked about this a bit previous weeks. The GDS, it started off really with travel agents dealing with the airlines, right? So the electronic version, a little bit back into that again. The GDS is a network that connects those traveling professionals worldwide who reserve rooms with the hotels offering rooms for sale. Provided again as emerging airline industry and travel agents with electronic ticket booking system. And this was really revolutionary back in its day, right? I'm sure you're tired of hearing about it, and that's okay. With time, obviously this moved on to car rentals and then hotel reservations and such. Let's see here. There's also the front office management reviews the up-to-date occupancy or availability forecasts. It's important that you keep accurate occupancy and that you know what is available for sale everywhere. If you have rooms that are released to be sold to like Hotwire and Priceline, etc., and you're getting close to being full, you know, some places shut down those avenues of reservations instead of taking the chance that a walk-in happens and they sell a room on Priceline at the same time. All right. So again, it's all about third party, things like that. The telephone happens a lot, right? Information provided by the hotel to call center agents. You're going to let them know about room availability, blackout dates, close to arrival dates, minimum length of stay dates, what your room rates are typically for them, the seasonality of the rates, room types, what the distance to local attractions are, hotel amenities and the services that are offered, directions to the property. If there's a franchisor mandated ratings or ranking information. A walk-in guest is a guest seeking a room who arrives at the hotel without an advance reservation. These are very common if you have a hotel that is near the interstate or just off a major highway. So with walk-in guests, an excellent curb appeal as well as a friendly initial greeting from the hotel front office staff ensures that the walk-ins are converted to paying guests. The curb appeal is described as the initial visual impression of a hotel's parking area, grounds, the external building aesthetics, which create for an arriving guest a welcoming feeling. It's one of those moments of truth that we talked about in previous lectures. So the front office must be properly staffed and managed to ensure professional standards are upheld when meeting guests' needs during arrival, their stay, and their departure. So pre-arrival, what do? The front desk prints or holds electronic storage of a registration card for all guests scheduled to arrive the next day. A registration card is a legal contract between the hotel and its guests. It provides details such as the name, arrival, room rate, departure date, and other information that is related to the guest stay. Now, the bell station, they assist with moving baggage into the hotel and the rooms, as well as being knowledgeable of the hotel services and room features. There is a 5-step registration process. So you greet the guest, right? You got to make them minimize the wait, make them feel welcome. You confirm their information because, as I said, the address may be wrong. They might not have their rewards number in. all that stuff. You're just going to make sure that you confirm everything with the guest, so that way there's no questions. You're going to secure a form of payment. You're going to authorize or validate their credit card. And finally, you're going to make a room assignment. Now, this is to accommodate the guest preferences. So maybe they want a certain location in the hotel, view, bed type, amenities. If it isn't directly correlated with the room type that they reserved, you can also, at this point, offer upgrades. Sometimes if a room has a better view, it might cost a little more, and you can upgrade that way. You're going to issue them the keys. Obviously, the fifth step, right? Give them the keys. Let them know where the heck their room is, right? Because they got the keys. All right, it's over there. The elevators are hidden, so you're going to have to turn left, right, left, and it's going to be great. The concierge. The concierge is going to help make dinner reservations, secure tickets, arrange transportation. This is really key pre-Uber and Lyft, was having somebody be able to make sure that a taxi was there waiting for you when you needed it. Now, a lot of guests, I mean, they use their phone. They know how much they're going to pay. They're usually pretty happy that way. Translating language is another concierge task, and providing hotel-specific information. So we got all this information about our guests. And a professionally managed front office is one in which guests are confident that their privacy will be properly maintained by all staff members. So it is important that you never confirm or deny that a guest is registered in the hotel without the guest's express permission. So if somebody comes up, they're like, is Dr. Matt Mosley staying there? You know? And if I didn't say, yeah, whatever, let him through, you're not going to necessarily confirm or deny it. Or did I stay there? So there's a lot of little things that you got to watch out for. You want to make sure that you protect your guests as much as possible. Never give out information related to their stay when they're arriving, departing. Never, ever give out a room number. Always be vigilant in informing the guest of any unusual third-party information request. So if somebody comes up and they're being kind of cagey about why they want to know this stuff, let the guest know, okay? Never give out a guest room number to any third party without that guest's express permission. Never give out the room number. You never know who the person is or what their ulterior motives are. We can probably talk about certain examples in class. Just remind me. Never perform registration tasks in such a way as to allow guest information to be overheard by others. So your credit card number is, no, right? Never mark the room numbers directly on the keys. So if they drop a key, they may know what hotel it's for, but they're not going to know the room number. Now, if a guest loses a key, you can reprogram all the lock to cut out the old keys and only use the new keys. Never issue a duplicate room key to anyone without confirming their identification of that person as the room's properly registered guest. I don't care if a guest checks in and they got 3 people with them, and you recognize those 3 people, right? And the guest and them go up to the room, and one of those people that did not check in but was with the guest comes down and asks for a key. Don't give them a key. Only give it to the person whose ID that you checked, payment card that you've given. Better safe than sorry. You never know. And you don't want to be the one who makes that mistake. All right. All right. So we secured their information during their stay, and at time of checkout, guests may bring up issues that detracted from their experience. It's going to happen. Now, if these experiences are handled professionally, they can actually enhance the guest experience. General managers monitor the front desk staff to ensure that guests with legitimate complaints are treated courteously and with empathy upon their departure. I cannot stress enough about not taking anything personally. You can see it sometimes that people don't understand that the guest experience is theirs, and it doesn't reflect anything on you unless you handle it in an unprofessional manner or take it personally, in which case more than likely you're going to be unprofessional. Okay, so professionalism is the key here. Accounting for guest rooms means that all charges incurred by guest use of a hotel are charged properly, and that the payment is collected. Right? Their guest room charges, if they rent any games or movies, or that they bill anything at the restaurant, at the bar, etc. Right? All this stuff needs to be accounted for before they check out. Right? Now, we have the bucket is like the historical industry term for the location of the registration cards that we have. It's going to be signed by the guest at check-in. The bucket check is a manual or automated procedure used to verify for each guest the accuracy of their registration information. So not only is it checked when they check in, but the next shift as well, and the night audit should be checking and verifying that all the information is correct. We're human and we make mistakes, or we fail to necessarily verify everything, that the credit cards match up that are on the printed folio with the ones that the guest gave when they checked in. Now, that may not be the biggest issue, but we want to make sure that the proper card is charged and that the guests have, the most accurate information on file. So one of the people that's going to do that is going to be the night auditor. When does one day hotel sales end and another begins? Well, it's not midnight, right? The end of the day is not a fixed time period, but rather is designated as the time at which the night auditor closes or concludes the night audit. The night audit is a process of reviewing for accuracy and completeness the accounting transactions from one day to conclude or close the day's sales information in preparation for posting the transactions the next day. Now, it requires that they're going to post the appropriate room and tax rates to the folios of guests currently staying in the hotel, verifying an accurate room status in the PMS system of all rooms. They're going to be posting any necessary adjustments or allowances to the folios. They will verify that all legitimate non-room charges have been posted throughout the day to the proper guest folio. So if the guest eats in one of the restaurants and charges it to the room, they're going to make sure that it is posted to that room at the end of the day. Monitoring the guest account balances to determine whether any are over the guest's current credit limit. So typically when you check into a hotel, even if you prepaid, they're going to ask you for a card for any incidentals or charges. And there's a limit on that. So the night audit is going to make sure that you are under that limit. They're going to make sure that they're balancing and reconciling the front desk cash bank, updating and backing up all the data, producing, duplicating, and distributing all management mandated reports related to the ADR, occupancy percentage, source of business, and in-house guest list. Right? It's quite a lot, and it used to be really, really a long and difficult process. Now it's just a lot of pointing and clicking. So it's fantastic where technology has taken us. It's a little bit out of order, but with the room management assignments, so the front desk deals with the checking in. So prior to assigning a guest room, they're going to confirm the room status, whether it's clean, vacant, right? Nothing worse than checking a guest in and the room is not ready. Housekeeping employees cleaning and inspecting the rooms must update the status, especially if it's a particularly busy day for housekeeping. The supervisors keeping the front desk informed about what's available and what's not is key. A lot of communication. So guests sometimes can do a self check-in, and this is becoming a little bit more prevalent with the way technology is going. I know that I can get my own room key as my phone in some hotels. I personally do not prefer that, but maybe I'm just getting old. Who knows? So self check-in allows guests to enter personal information, choose from available rooms, receive a key or passcode to their selected room. Right? The systems must be accurate and secure because of the legal liability. For example, the liability that could result if a guest checks into an already occupied room. Okay. The accounting system must allow staff to verify and document personal information, positively identify the guest to whom the room is rented, assign guests whenever possible to their requested room type, assure the status of the room assigned to the guest is clean and vacant, confirm the rate paid, confirm the departure date, and secure a applicable form of payment. That is always important, right? So we got all that when we're doing the checking in. When they're checking out, you're going to confirm the identity again. You're not just going to give the bill to anybody who goes, room 210, checking out, can I have a bill, please? Right? You're going to want to confirm it. A lot of systems that I've worked with, they scan in the ID and it automatically pulls up on the screen when you open up any folio, which helps the front desk staff to identify in a quick manner if the guest is who they say they are. It's really easy to identify them and to move along quickly that way. What else? You need to produce a copy of the folio for the guest inspection. All right. Process their payment. And you're going to be revising the room status in the property management system to vacant/dirty, which is typically the designation in most of the systems that I've dealt with, is it goes to dirty and vacant. Because the guest may need adjustments applied to their bill, GMs must ensure that the front office understands the limits of adjustments they can make. Guest checkout is the perfect selling opportunity to rebook the guest for future stays. Sometimes it is, sometimes it's just life. So You know, take whatever sales you can when you can. You just simply ask them, hey, do you want us to go ahead and book you for the same room type for the next time you come? You know, always be selling. So, all right. Now, the payment card acceptance and processing guidelines. When interfaced with the PMS system, credit and debit cards, smartphone wallets, and other mobile payment systems can speed up guest payment processing and checkout. Guests may choose to pay their bill with their payment card, but later protest all or part of that bill. Each major credit card issuer has its own preferred processing procedure, and the front office management may have to defend the hotel's card processing procedures when the guest payment disputes occur. So, part of that is why you want to have and physically swipe the card at the hotel, regardless if they prepaid it or not. It will help you defend and verify that the guest actually did use it there. You have your signature on file, all that good stuff, right? You're going to compare the name on the credit card, check, whatever, to the one on their driver's license. Make sure that the card hasn't been altered, and confirm that the card is valid and has not expired, right? You need to document the identity of the employee who processed the charge. Typically, when you log into your property management system, you're going to do so just like you log in with like a campus computer. You're going to put in your username and your password, and that's going to automatically track who made what changes. It's important when I mentioned that when you walk away from the computer, that you log out, so nobody else can make changes to anybody else's portfolio and blame you for it. Okay. And don't share your password. Recordable locking system, right? It's fantastic how the times have changed. It went from having an actual physical key like the one that you use to get into your house to cards to now you can use your phone, whatnot, and it's recordable. It also can maintain a list of who's accessed it. So if you code a key for a housekeeping zone and that key is used to open up a room, you know, based on who signed out that key, who had access to a room or not. It's important to just kind of keep all this stuff up. The staff must be trained to issue duplicate keys only to confirm guests, right? Maintain an accurate data system that actually identifies registered guests in their assigned room numbers. All right, so PBX, it's the phone system, okay? How much this matters for guest billing, not as much anymore, but you still use it for the front desk. You do need to do, there's call accounting system, so you can look up and see what call or what number called in, numbers that were called out, length of time, date, number, right, from each guest room, from the front desk, from any phone in the system. You can set up wake up calls, which people still want. So make sure your staff members are trained on that. Voicemail is a feature that may be interfaced with the PBX, but is in fact a separate telephone component. Message on hold, it provides that pleasant music. Hopefully it's pleasant. And I implore you to call in to your system and get put on hold. And make sure that it is actually pleasant. I've been on hold on some companies where it's just crackling going on in the background and it's just absolute trash, and it just kind of tells you something about the company, where if they can't even pay attention to something that small, what else are they not paying attention to? A house phone. Hey, it's a phone in the public, right? Uh, it can be used for emergency services. The front desk may be able to transfer a phone call to that and things that such. Somebody comes in and they want to get a hold of a guest room. The front desk will dial the guest room number, transfer the call to the house phone, and then that person can talk to them, and the guest can give them their room number. Typical point of sale locations, just where you thought, anywhere that you're going to be collecting money, right? At a restaurant, room service, lounge, spa, right? Fitness center, valet, retail shops, all this stuff, right? There's going to be in-room products and services, the mini bars, movies and video games, sometimes Wi-Fi or internet access, or now it's typically better internet access or better Wi-Fi that you have to pay for. And that's all going to be connected with the PMS system, okay? The back office accounting system must offer some strong underlying technology, a strong company behind the product. But what I want you to think about is back in chapter 6, that the financial data that's contained in the PMS system must ultimately be transferred to the controller's office in order to prepare a hotel's balance sheet, income statement, and statement of cash flows. Now, most PMSs offer the capability of interfacing directly with the back office accounting system. And that's where all this stuff that they offer, because they do need to have strong underlying technology. They need to have a good company behind it. You're not just going to want to pick, a free system that has very little reputation or support behind it. It needs to have hardware capability. So your computers need to be able to work with this, right? If they don't, what good is it to you? Expandability, ease of use, telephone support. I can tell you from using several different PMS systems that not all companies support are equal. The ones that you really enjoy and love and you pay for it, you get what you pay for, are the ones where you call up and you may be on hold for like 30 seconds. And then somebody's there, they already have your information pulled up because they recognize the phone number, and you're already off and running and working on stuff. What else do we got here? All right. You want to avoid at all costs a breach of data security. So you're not immune to it. You're not. But there are a few strategies here. So you need to develop data security policies and breach reporting procedures, because many employees have access to credit card and other personal information of the guests. Strong security related policies and procedures must be in place. You need to be able to providing ongoing training, right? Because again, employee turnover, front office managers must have a thorough data security plan in place to instruct new employees, as well as to retrain and update and refresh old employees. We can't just worry about the new employees. New employees go through so much training in their first month that they forget half of it by the time that they're on the desk. Keep training, okay? Ensure that property supplied internet connectivity, if offered to guests, has the latest virus protection and security features. If a hotel's internet connections are not secure, sensitive guest information is at risk of being compromised by cyber hackers, and identity thieves. Now, you're going to want to be moving the maximum amount of sensitive guest information as possible. Use best practices. Sometimes it's to the cloud, which is more secure. Sometimes it's somewhere else. While online cloud-based storage services, data is encrypted during transmission and while in storage. But if it's only as secure as like your password and things like that, right? Think about the whole Apple hacks that happened, right? Cloud's not impenetrable, but sometimes it takes liability off of you too. There will always be a need for talented front office management and staff that can maximize the revenue, provide outstanding guest service, and record the data needed for a smooth operation of the property. Remember that. All right, let's get real for a little bit. Real World 9.2. This is on page 322 of your textbook. So go ahead and pause the video, read it, think about it, answer the questions, and then proceed to the next little bit where we're going to go over some possible answers. All right. So let's assume that you are Frederick. What do you think of Aliana's proposed policy? Now, I can guarantee that in person, I would hear almost a different answer from each of you, which is great. I encourage you to think about the pros and cons of any newly proposed policy, right? One advantage of the new policy is the potential to increase frequent traveler guest satisfaction. Now, a potential disadvantage is that some travelers with reservations will be pre-selected for rooms of lesser quality, and thus an ethical issue may exist here. I know some people who will assign the rooms that are not as, fabulous to guests who book through discount websites, such as Priceline or Hotwire, things of that nature. Because they're paying less, the hotel that thinks that, well, they don't deserve the best rooms. We're going to give that to the people who are paying the rack rate. You know, to each their own. Do you think her policy is fair to all arriving guests? Explain your answer. Again, some who are saying that it's fair to all arriving guests will likely point out that it rewards the hotel's best customers. Those students who feel that the policy is not fair to all arriving guests will likely point out that the guests booking through online travel agencies will be automatically relegated to less desirable rooms. Both positions obviously could be true, but there are positives and negatives of implementing the newly proposed policy, and really just be careful. Do you think the room assignment currently in place or the proposed one would be best for optimizing revenue in the long term? So what you need to really think about here is the impact of the proposed policy on long-term room revenue generation. In most cases, your position on whether or not the policy is fair is less important than your rationality for it, right? And this is where your critical thinking really comes into play. I want you to make sure that you recognize that the impact of the net average daily rate when discussing this issue is going to be really important. This real world scenario just illustrates that this is one of many challenges that are going to be facing front office managers as the hotel industry or hospitality industry changes, and it changes quite rapidly. So you need to make sure that whatever you choose, you have rationality behind it, but also that you're not so stubborn that you do not understand that sometimes it's okay to move on from that and change the policy yet once again. Anyways, for chapter 9, I have been Dr. Mosley. You have been awesome. Till next time, take care.